Boy, did I hate this episode.
You were a writer.
Yes. Science fiction.
I'm doomed.
Oh boy, I think, and I will go on record, I said this. This is the worst episode of Loki.
Out of how many do we have? We have 11.
This is the 11th episode. This is episode 11 out of 11 on the list. I think this whole episode didn't have to happen.
Well, no, we start where we end, which is
everything got
except
erased.
now Loki's God.
Yeah, but imagine just at the end of the
Oh, wait,
last
no, Loki's
episode,
already
they
a
made
god.
they made him double god.
He's
They
a
made
god.
him a Time Lord.
He's Doctor Strange now with the Time Stone.
Time Stone is green.
Loki green.
Loki green. New Rockstars thumbnail. I felt like this was, or half of it was like a mid-episode in a 25-episode season of a show where it's like a what-if kind of episode. Like, this is where they all would have been on their regular timeline. I think they just honestly just put that in there because they needed padding.
It's the same as a flashback episode. So like, yeah, like if you were to spend a whole episode flashing back and then the characters like they come back with like a renewed sense of urgency, basically, like they were down in the dumps and now they're back. They try to give us an insight into what all these people were before they got abducted by the TVA or before they deviated from the timeline.
Yeah.
We never find out what made them deviate, which would probably be the only interesting thing about them.
Yeah,
like
but I guess it could
why
be...
did Mobius get taken away from his two boys and jet ski and like become part of the TVA? Like, why was he kidnapped?
Yeah.
They never even tell us that. All they tell us is he loves jet skis.
Well, it could have been anything. It could have been just like he went a different way to work and that makes him a deviant. So they
But I
took
guess
that deviant.
That might be an
just to
interesting
work.
thing to do, but not in the semi-final episode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't give a
Next
shit.
week is the last episode.
I don't give a shit about Mobius turning left instead of right if it's the semi-final of an
Yeah,
episode.
it should have been that he murdered his sons. It has to be something big.
Well, like Casey's like a thief now.
Yeah, he's
But that's what I was saying. So Mobius always liked jet skis. Even in
Yeah.
the TVA, he's like, oh, jet skis are cool. Like, this seems like a cool thing that could happen. Why the TVA had that, I don't know.
Jet ski
Also, why
magazines?
the TVA is only people from Earth around the 20th century. There's an episode of Doctor Who called Turn Left, where Donna Noble can turn left or turn right. She chooses right. She never meets the Doctor. The Doctor dies because of it. Whereas with this, it literally is like, Loki appears next to Mobius. He's like, damn, I love jet skis. Loki disappears. Loki appears next to someone else. Damn, I do this for a living. The only mildly interesting one, I guess, was Casey, who was in Alcatraz. But we never find out why, except maybe bank robbery. And also, it has nothing to do with he's like in the TVA.
Yeah, everyone like has a bit, or at least like Mobius and Obi have a bit of their
I mean, Obi
sacred
wrote a
timeline
book.
or
Obi
whatever.
wrote a book, but like he wrote a book in the TVA because he was a genius and he wanted to tell other
It's
people
like an
stuff.
instruction guide.
Yeah.
Not like a science fiction book.
It's a manual. Whereas
Yeah.
in the new one, in his real timeline, he's like, oh, I became a physicist because I needed a real job. And
Yeah.
it was like backwards. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? But it doesn't matter. And it doesn't
It
give
feels
me anything
very-
deeper into their personalities. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it should have unlocked something, but like, oh, that's why he always did this.
That's why Casey was a bit of a, a bit cheeky
Like,
and
that's
a
why
bit cunning.
That's
you know?
why he always kept all the time stones.
He
like,
should have
part
honestly-
of him liked
they-
shiny things.
They
Instead,
should
he
have
was
shown him
like,
taking things all
what's
the
a
time.
fish?
Yeah.
It didn't give us anything. Instead, we find out Mobius has two boys that I thought might be a Thor and Loki metaphor because one was like burning things alive and the other one was responsible for him.
Yeah.
But they were both blonde. So I'm like, if you were going to go heavy-handed with it, make the one lighting shit on fire a little brunette, black hair kid.
Yeah.
And then his ripped brother needed to
I
look
think
after
they just
him.
needed to introduce them and they get rid of them in one scene. I think.
And that's what they did. And it's like,
Yeah.
damn, okay. Like, it matters so little to them what happens in these people's lives. And I'm like, why bother showing me? And they wrapped it all up in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, Loki wakes up from the loom exploding. And from then to when he gets everyone back together out of their timelines is like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, wow, okay, we've solved everything. Like,
Yeah.
the whole problem solved. And then the other 20 minutes is him basically arguing with Sylvie and feeling sorry for himself because he's not Loki anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
He was never Loki.
in this show, I guess.
Yeah. Oh. So when he does at the end of the episode, he controls the time skipping. He goes back into his own body at that moment. Because how come you see he kind of interacts with himself at the start? He jumps and he sees himself reading the book. How come he didn't time skip if
Oh,
he's
I
in the
getcha.
same timeline? He didn't time skip into his own body.
Okay, yes, you actually are correct on that.
Time skipping works like a tempad where it's that Loki coming back to visit that timeline, and then at the end say he has the ability to control it, but it deletes that Loki and replaces it with him. You can't have both.
Unless it's like a time and space thing. So like he went into the space of himself. So he eviscerated the one that was there and replaced
a
it.
Ship with a little Theseus ship. Was that what it is?
I was so excited at the start of this episode because I wanted time. I said in the last episode, I wanted time skipping the whole time.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be Loki's thing. And he started doing it again. I'm like, hey, like it's taken fucking ages, but we're time skipping again. We can do some interesting time travel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stops it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
It's
he learns to control it.
It's uncontrollable. He's doing it every 5 seconds, between everyone's world. I wonder if that's going to be a thing. He has them all do a certain task until they all line up, and then they all do the same task at the same time, bang, all together, convergence. But it's like, oh, wait, no, he can, it just stops.
Yeah, instead we get let's talk about the emotional crux of this episode, which is Loki wants to get everyone together so that they can all go keep the TVA alive, because he wants to make the TVA survive so that he can fight what's to come, which is He Who Remains and all the variants, which he still hasn't seen an evil variant of Kang.
Yes,
The only thing we've seen is Victor
He Who
Timely.
Remains is the bad one.
But they literally go from like Loki is still afraid of He Who Remains, even though it's been however long. We still haven't seen another one of him. And the one we have met was a really nice guy who sacrificed himself for the good of everyone. And it's like, why is Loki still so terrified of He Who Remains at this point? Because he's had no real proof.
And you've seen him die a lot.
It kind of feels like Sylvie was right and like he was lying. Like that was Sylvie's whole thing. She's like, no, he's lying so that we don't kill him. And it kind of seems like Sylvie was right. And in this episode, we go into even more Sylvie was right. And it's weird to agree with Sylvie. But I think you said you fucking hated Loki in this episode.
Yeah, I really just didn't like him.
Well, this whole thing is he wants to get the TVA back together. And then he does this by tearing people from their lives, even though one of the main sticking points in season 1 that he was against was that the TVA tore them from their lives.
Yeah.
And now he's like, oh, no, people need to have a choice. And it's like, no, they didn't have a choice to begin with. They were dragged out of the timeline and mind wiped. And now he's not going to mind wipe them. So even if Mobius did choose to work at the TVA, he would have a constant memory of his 2 sons at home and his ex-wife that he abandoned for eternity. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Sylvie's like, no, that's crazy. Like, just let them live their lives.
I hate agreeing with her.
No. Yeah, we went from last week being like, fuck Sylvie, to this week like, damn, go point.
She kind of makes a point.
She kind of cooking. Mullet's still terrible, but that's neither here nor when. Huh? Nah.
Okay.
I'll cut it. And then it's just strange that Sylvie is like, no, that makes a lot of... Like, we should just leave them be. And then Loki's like, you know what? You're right. Turns out I just want friends. I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Because male loneliness...
Well, I think a big thing is the season 1 and season 2 were written at different times.
And by different people.
Yeah.
I can't confirm that, but I will look that up.
It feels like it at least.
It's different multiverses.
So
We're
it's
watching... Season 1 was like the good timeline.
Yeah.
Season 2 is some random fucking guy just got to write for it.
One of the writers stopped for a bagel in the morning instead of going straight to work, and now we got this bullshit.
They thought they had a good idea, but I don't know whether it's studio interference.
What do you think he saw here? What pulled him there?
He saw something here?
Yeah, he went to like a viewing room. What did he see?
He
went to a time theater.
He does say to Obi later on
He
about
mentions the time theater.
But I don't
But
know
we
what he
never
says.
see what was in there. And we saw everybody, so unless... Is there someone missing from the group?
No, everyone's there.
It definitely feels like... I don't know, Loki's kind of flip-flopping, and people are going to say, it's because now he has friends. You didn't listen to the end. He wanted his friends back. That's why he's being selfish. He's not thinking about them.
And the only one he's ever actually spoken to properly was Mobius.
Or cared about is Mobius and Sylvie to an extent.
And definitely Sylvie, but like Mobius mainly. But even then, that was during like a time of crisis, and they thought like for half the time he spent trying to trick Mobius.
Yeah.
The other half he spent with Girly, and then Mobius only helped because everyone in the TVA betrayed him. Like his mainstay, Renslayer, betrayed him, and he's like, you know what? Maybe Loki has it right. We need to destroy the TVA. That's why he helped. It wasn't because like him and Loki were besties. It was way more loving in season 1 with Sylvie, but now it's kind of just like it's definitely more platonic. And I don't know whether that's just the writer decided it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I still find it so interesting that the one person Loki would ever fall in love with was himself. And I'm like, genius.
Yeah.
Love it. But then they seem determined to like kick the shit out of that idea and be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you. I want that. But Sylvie's basically like, no, we need to let people live their lives. And Loki's like, oh, my bad. I'm just lonely. I guess I was just projecting all of that. And then, no, it turns out he's right.
Yeah.
Like, complete flip-flop. No, it's fine. The world's, every single universe is falling apart because the loom exploded, even though the loom was made after all the universes as a loom, as in to make all of the universes into one, like a loom. Like, it's the Sisters of Fate. That was the whole thing.
But there's so many branches. They weren't expecting all these threads.
But that just means it's normal. So, say, for instance, I have a loom. I have a bunch of thread, and I put thread through the loom, and then it breaks. I'm back to having a bunch of thread.
Nah, you got to think of it more like a hose.
The multiverse is a hose with like the spray function.
Nah, it's like imagine you plug your hose into the wall connector
and you switch
thing.
it to the jet function.
You plug it into the wall connector thing, so only this much water can get through. But imagine you plug it into a dam. You know, it would blow the hose apart.
But then you still have water.
You're thinking small potatoes.
And then we still just have water, which is where we were.
Unkempt water. A dam is water's loom. I don't know if this show is like, can we make everyone right and everyone wrong at the same time?
Oh, yeah, I get you.
That's what makes sense. Like Sylvie was right, and then Sylvie is wrong.
And they're like, oh.
Loki is wrong. Loki is right. Loki is wrong again. Mobius, right, wrong. And then you can say, Marco, that's storytelling, and that's growth. No, it isn't.
No, because we start the episode
No,
again.
it isn't, because nothing's really happening.
Because we deleted Sylvie. So we deleted everything. This episode starts where it ends.
Hey, I have a question.
Should we make this episode loop perfectly, even though YouTube doesn't have that functionality?
That'd be cool. Hey, how come no one's variant remembered anything from their TVA lives except for Sylvie? Because then how's he going to get a lecture? We'll just glaze right over it with a, that's not how I thought that was going to happen. And she's like, well, buckle up. You need a drink.
Just cuts to him. Yes.
It's like, I really, really hate that this show will just bring something in and then I'm left thinking, hey, I can't wait to see how they're going to explain that. And then they just power through it. And it's like, I'm left here with my dick in my hand being like, you can't introduce a problem and then just blow past it. OB's done it. Mobius has done it. Sylvie did it in this episode. You can't have Loki be like, how did that happen? And the character just says one line and then it's just like, hey, what's going to happen here? It's like, yes, I know you're blowing through so much information that I'm probably going to forget that happened. Wow, great Marvel, bro. But I just really would just love a bit of information. I know you're not supposed to give the viewer too much stuff to think about, but this show isn't going for simplicity. It's a time travel show.
Yeah.
So you can be a bit complex with your stuff a little bit.
Be fun.
And be fun. Explain things and be fun. Venn diagram. Explain things and be fun.
And Loki's like over here.
Loki's over here.
I was right with my original thing, though, of like, they won't bother to actually change anything. Like, this season will be incredibly self-contained and will probably end up where it started. This episode ends up where it started, but like, I feel like the entire season might wrap up to like season 1 or something. I don't see a Loki season 3. Like, that seems kind of weird.
Unless they finally take my advice and use it to reboot the MCU, which I thought that's where this was going. Gosh darn it!
The weird thing is they could have done that with Doctor Strange too. It's like
you had your chances.
They
could have done it with Doctor.
They keep setting it up like, should we redo it? And then last minute, like, nah.
Yeah,
fuck 'em.
Fuck it. WandaVision season 2. You're our only hope.
I did spend most of this episode confused, as not about like the time travel mechanics. They were pretty simple for a Doctor Who person, such as a Whovian like myself. But just confused as to why they chose to do this. Again, writing to me is hilarious because you can do whatever the fuck you want. So when they railroad themselves into doing something and then they're like, fuck, I'm trapped. So then they just ex machina themselves out like, oh, I have a TVA handbook.
It's something
just the funniest
I hated that.
Like they can do whatever they want and they're just like, you know what? It's fine. Again, why is everyone from the 20th century on Earth? No aliens in the TVA. No old-timey folks.
I don't know, and it's not... This isn't because the show is good, and it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. I don't know what they're going to do. How far back is Loki going to go to fix the problem? Because now he can jump wherever he wants.
Yeah, why did he only go back to the loom exploding?
He's going to be like, stop!
Oh, and in the preview when they show He Who Remains, I'm like, damn, this man just loves stuttering. Like, that's his idea of a villain. He's like, what? I'm crazy.
I have a total plan.
It's every Joker impersonator ever. Like,
you want to know how I got these scars?
it's insane. And that's just what happens.
Kevin Wright, you fuck.
Kevin wrong.
More like Kevin fucks. Hi, I'm Kevin Stupid. I'm Kevin Stupid. I wrote this show.
Someone to blame.
Blame Feige.
Because of their setups, they can do literally anything.
All right, Daniel, what's going to happen?
I honestly don't know.
What's going to happen? Say they just before the end of episode 4. Okay. So Victor Tyler is about to walk through the door. You have one episode, you have 40 minutes to
It's that exact scenario, but Loki is now... Wait, what did Loki learn? He knows how to time travel, and he knows Victor's going to explode. So he's going to say, no, Victor.
You can already time travel, by the way.
He's going to say, no, Victor, don't do it.
What did he learn in that one episode that they couldn't accomplish with the time travel they already had in that episode?
Well, the only thing he learned was a consequence of the thing exploding was that he was lonely. So he learned how to time travel, and he learned he was lonely without his friends.
I guess everything's going to deteriorate.
Yeah, but that's not information that'll help him. That was what they already thought would happen. They thought everything would go
Are they going to go back and decide to start pruning again?
I mean...
The odds?
According to what they've laid out, that is the only solution that will work.
So they can either go back and prune stuff. They can go back and leave the one who remains alive. They can leave him alive, I guess. They got to bring Ravonna into it somehow.
She got pruned.
Yeah, but they got to... That doesn't mean anything. Loki proved that doesn't mean anything.
It kind of does feel like they need a season 3, but I don't see anywhere they're getting one.
Maybe a movie? Into the Loki-verse?
You know what? That's it. Just go back in time and tell us not to watch the show. I don't want to watch it.
Okay, fine. I'll take matters into my own hands then. Daniel, don't watch that episode.
I literally just finished it. I'm ready to record.
Well, let's do it right this time.
Okay.
Boy, did I hate this episode. Oh, boy. I think, and I will go on record, I said this. This is the worst episode of Loki